Hey guys, welcome to This Week in our Bible class. This week I want to switch to a new book in the New Testament. We just finished our study of Romans, and we know that Paul wrote that book, Romans. It was a letter to the church in Rome. Now we're going to be looking at just a small part this week of a book called Galatians. This was also written by Paul, and it was written as a letter to the church in Galatia. So many of these books in the New Testament are really just letters to the various churches in the different parts of the Middle East and the surrounding area where Christian churches existed back then. And we're going to look at chapter 5, just a small part that's going to be probably pretty familiar to you. And I've been thinking about these few verses, especially in light of being sheltered in place and all that it means for you, for me, for our families. It gets kind of boring at times, perhaps frustrating at times. We're tired of just being stuck, not being able to go do stuff. And as I've watched my own family, I've seen the things that we find in chapter 5, I've seen them become very applicable, or I need to make them applicable and apply them to my own life as we go through this, because this is a crazy time. So I'm going to read this. It's starting in chapter 5, verse 22. These are the fruits of the Spirit. Like I said, it's going to be probably pretty familiar to you. You've probably heard this. And fruit of the Spirit, that's a weird phrase, right? It sounds kind of crazy. But all it is it's these things become part of your life when you are living in communion with God and trying to make His principles a part of your daily life. So that's all that means. Fruit of the Spirit. This is what they are. Verse 22 says, "But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against these things there's no law. Those who belong to Christ have crucified the sinful nature, and we now live by the Spirit." So I paraphrase there at the end. But what it's saying is when we are in Christ, we take on these things like peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, self-control. We take these things on as part of our life, not because they're so natural to us. They're not, right? These things are things that we have to actually work at. We take them on because that's what Christ helps us bring into our lives and grow in our own lives. Selfishness is something that comes naturally to me. It probably comes naturally to you. But self-control or gentleness or patience, that's something I have to work on. That's something you have to work on. That's something everybody has to work on, okay? So God helps us bring these things into our lives. And as we are stuck at home, I've found myself needing patience with my family, with my son, with my wife, with my new baby. I've found myself needing to be more gentle, more loving. So this week, I want to talk about the fruit of the Spirit. And I want us to have a dialogue through the comments here in Edmodo about what fruits of the Spirit maybe do you need to grow in? What have you struggled with over the past few weeks as you've been stuck at home, as frustrations have perhaps risen at times, as your patience has worn thin, your parents' patience has worn thin? Do you need to be more understanding, more loving, more gentle? Do you need to have more self-control? Maybe stop playing those video games all day and start doing some homework and start focusing on some other things. Is self-control something that you struggle with? Let's have a dialogue about this. We're going to be talking about this all week, just these just few little principles or fruits of the Spirit that are seemingly simple, but when we actually try to apply them to our own lives, it's difficult, isn't it? It's difficult for me. It's difficult for you. It's difficult for your parents as they try to also navigate this. So give them grace. Give them patience, okay? And let's talk about this. Again, participation this week is going to be based off of your comments below. And we'll have a little quiz on Friday as well. So this grade, participation, quiz. That's all you have this week in Bible. But I do want you to comment and let's talk about this. All right? We'll see you soon.